Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to episode number 31, of Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer. And I'm so excited. I'm excited for a lot of reasons, but one, the comments are working tonight. So that's a reason to be excited, among many other reasons, including my guest co host tonight and amazing guests as well. So here we go. This show was created as a safe space where cancer survivors and cancer supporters come together to share stories and connect, as well as find resources that provide healing, hope, and resilience. My name is Tim Sohn, a 15-year cancer survivor and host of Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer, as well as a live stream producer and guide for nonprofits, businesses, and entrepreneurs that want to make a positive impact in the world. Thank you so much for joining us. Please let us know where you're tuning in from around the world and what is your connection to cancer. I so appreciate you all for being here. We want this to be a conversation with you. And so I encourage you to connect with each other in the chat. Tonight, I'm delighted to have Erica Campbell back for a second time as guest co-host. Let's give it up for Erica Campbell in the chat. Let's show her some love in the chat. Erica Campbell serves as the executive director of the Pinky Swear Foundation, a nonprofit that provides financial and emotional support for children with cancer and their families. Additionally, she served for 15 years on the board of directors of Special Love, Inc., a nonprofit that provides summer camps for children with cancer. In addition to her work at Pinky Swear Foundation, Erica also holds a second full-time job as a mom to Amelia, age 11, and Duncan, age 8. So I'm going to bring Erica on the screen right now. Here we go. Hi, Erica. Welcome back.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for having me back. This is fantastic. Tonight,
yes,
we are having a conversation with Irina Borissova Joksimovic, whose mother passed away from metastatic breast cancer. And Tim, a little known fact about me is that my mother also passed away from metastatic breast cancer nearly 20 years ago. So this show really means something to me. And I think it's going to be a beautiful conversation with Irina. So
yes.
Welcome to the show, Irina.
Thank you.
We are so excited for you to share your mom's cancer story and your perspectives as her daughter.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And also thank you for pronouncing my long name absolutely correctly. I appreciate that too.
I practiced.
It's great.
Yes.
And I'm happy to be here, definitely, and share, as much as I could share. Hopefully it'll help someone else to deal with with the issue like that.
Yes, definitely. Welcome. We're so grateful you're here. And we are so grateful all of you are here. And we're shout out to Restream and LinkedIn. The comments are working tonight. So we just want to go over to the comments briefly and shout out all of you who are here. Nancy Barrows is in the house. So thank you for being here, Nancy. Nancy is going to be the guest co-host next week. Erica Campbell is going to be the guest next week. And Nancy will be guest co-host. So
thank you, Nancy.
Yes, definitely. Brian Schulman is in the house. Welcome, Brian Schulman. Mary Wells is here. She is a future guest on the show. Welcome, Yay. Mary. Bob Feathers is here. He says less than 1 minute. People were literally counting down like 7 minutes, 5 minutes, 4 minutes. Seriously, it was, you guys are the best. The best. So many of you guys are here. Maria Rouse is here. Welcome, Maria. It's so great to have you here. And guys, let us know, what is your connection to cancer? Let us know where you're tuning in from around the world. Shannon is here. Welcome, Shannon. She says, good evening, all. Mm-hmm. And if I missed any of you, we are grateful for all of you being here. For sure. Okay. So let's dive into the conversation. So your mom had breast cancer. Could you please share when was she diagnosed, and then just kind of what happened after that?
Right. So she was diagnosed 7 years ago. We actually, as a family, me and my daughter moved here to United States 21 years ago. My mom actually was left in Russia. She lived by herself. She was really independent, self-sufficient lady. And she was diagnosed 7 years ago with cancer that started in her nipple and one of her breasts, obviously. And I don't know exactly what type of cancer she had, so I had to apologize, and I couldn't figure out exact name, proper name of it.
That's okay.
But basically, it started from there, then it spread into lymph nodes, and she went to a doctor, being diagnosed. They said this is stage 2 cancer that she had. And she had a surgery pretty much to remove her left breast, pretty much right after, like 2 months after the diagnosis. And because she was older, so they told her, like, don't think about partial surgery, you need to remove the entire breast, so just to make sure everything is out of your system. But yeah, so 7 years ago, and she lived after the surgery. She had also radiation and chemotherapy, and after that she lived another 2 years until the cancer came back. And those 2 years, she had clear results. She was free of cancer, according to the doctors. And all of a sudden, the cancer just came back 3 years ago, exactly almost in May, 3 years ago. And they told her that it spread through her organs already, her lymph nodes, her liver, her spine, pretty much everywhere you think of. So her system started to shut down, and she wasn't able to have any more cancer treatment because she was so weak. And so they gave her some kind of experimental medicine, and actually made her feel much worse. So she stopped taking that, and then within, I would say, at least 2 months after the second diagnosis, second bout of it, she passed away. And it happened so quickly that I wasn't able to be there for her. And I told you guys that that's one of my biggest regrets, because unfortunately I also have an illness. It's not cancer, but I have bipolar. And my bipolar really affected my life. I was in really severe depression twice for 6 months each time. And unfortunately, at that time when my mom got diagnosed, I was right in the middle of it. So I wasn't working. I was on disability. So my life wasn't in order. And, one of the biggest things, that when she told me that it's back, my response was like, oh, I don't know what to say. And this is one of the regrets I have, because don't ever say, I don't know what to say. Don't say anything. Don't just come up with something to say to support the person who's telling you the worst news of their life. So basically, that's the beginning, I guess, of it. That's overall how it happened. I was extremely shocked to find out that that's what's happening with her. And her best friend actually interfered between us, and she told me, listen, your mom is in a hospice, she's dying. And for me, it was the biggest shock. I was like, what do you mean? She was supposed to do the medicine, she was to do treatment, radiation, chemo, everything. We were supposed to fight. And no, but because my mom, she was a kind of woman, she was kind of hiding her illnesses from all of us. She didn't share with me the fact that that's what, I mean, she's at the end stage of her life. I didn't know that. She was afraid to make me feel worse because I was already depressed. So it was all kind of like snowballed on both of us. And I'm really glad that that friend of my mom interfered and called me and said, listen, she's not telling you the truth, but she's actually in a really bad position now. She's barely surviving right now. And I was able to have that phone conversation with my mom before she passed away. And I'm so grateful for it. I also have a voicemail that she left me that I saved. It's going to be saved forever. Because if that friend didn't step in and told me, you guys need to be honest with each other, this is very serious, because you will regret this the rest of your life if you don't get to talk to your mom. So she was extremely helpful. I mean, it was a brutal honesty. I'm not going to lie, it wasn't effective. But I'm grateful for friends like that. and it tells you, and it also shows you that the support from your friends is just so important. It's not just your family who should be there for you, but your friends, your, people, once they step into the situation where you feel your worst and your friend comes in to save you. She took her to hospice. She figured out how to, in Russia it's different because you have to pay for everything out of pocket, including hospice. And so she talked to a director. She turned every stone and figure out how to help my mom in her late stage of life. So that's my story, in short.
Irina, thank you for sharing that story. And, as I mentioned, I understand. And tell us, though, how did your mom first tell you that she had cancer?
She said, so she used to work at this place in Russia where they used to build ships, like a research laboratory. And, over the years, over the past, I would say 30 years, they start seeing people dying with cancer. Everybody who worked in there, almost every other person started to have cancer.
Yeah.
And my mom, she nobody knew why this is happening. I don't know, maybe some kind of a chemical release in there. We have no idea what and why the people would keep getting diagnosed. But basically what my mom told me, she's like, remember Uncle Tolia? I have the same thing. That's how she told me about her cancer. I'm like, Mom, are you kidding me? She's like, no, but there's so many different treatments now, and I feel positive that they're going to help me. It's not at stage 4, so I still have a chance. And that was kind of, for me, even when they came back second time, I wasn't ready for, this kind of outcome, because I thought there's so many new researchers, there's so many new medicines, ways of treating it. And I was like, I'm sure we'll find something. Death is kind of like the last resort, obviously. And, unfortunately didn't pan out that way. Even in this advanced, kind of research and advanced kind of procedures that we can do to help people with cancer right now, we can't help 100%. Unfortunately, we cannot save everyone. And I think for me, I would be so happy if we finally find something that works and saves a lot more lives than it is now.
Yeah. I think what's interesting, Irina, is what I heard you say is that she was trying to protect you.
Yes.
In the beginning. And perhaps, I don't want to put words in your mouth, she wasn't as honest with you. What did that feel like?
I felt that I'm some sort of a weakling, where people can just come to me and tell me about their ailments and illnesses and then bad things that's going on, because they all know that I'm prone to depression. And for me, I felt like I wish I was stronger. I wish I didn't portray myself as someone who constantly needs help versus, I'm capable of helping someone. I wanted my mom to kind of know that. I wanted her trust me, and I wanted her to kind of rely on me. But again, it didn't work out that way. And now it's been 5 years since she passed. I've definitely made a lot of changes in my life. I've, figured out the medication for my bipolar. I've been doing really well at my job. So everything that my mom wanted from me is happening for me right now, including the fact that I had to mature very quickly, right? Within first few months, since she passed, I just had to step up and say, no more. I need to be strong. I need to be positive. I need to love life just the way my mom loved life. I told you she was avid photographer. She would go out and take pictures of beautiful nature, flowers. She would zoom in, and I have all that, and I'm putting that into album in a book.
Yeah.
So it would be kind of a story of my mom's photography. It's just for us, obviously. I'm going to sell the book, but it's going to be something for us to look at and have something tangible from her.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And this kind of goes to a conversation we were having in our pre-interview about the perspective, for all of our different perspectives as cancer survivors or parents or children, of when do we tell our when do we tell our children or whoever it is that we have or had cancer, right? From my perspective, what happened for me as a cancer survivor, I waited to tell our children until I found out in December that I don't have cancer anymore as of right now, or I hope so. And so I could resonate with from the parent protective standpoint, right? I don't want to put stress on my children. But then if I think about it from the perspective of the child, right? If I think about it that way, then I could, it resonates more with me.
Yeah. Yeah. If I can
What
share.
What do you think, Erica? Yeah, please.
So, Irina, when my mother was diagnosed, I definitely had the same experience where she did not tell me everything. And as the disease progressed, I grew resentful for not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
But now, as a parent myself, I understand why she did that. She was trying to protect me. Just as when I had cancer 4 years ago, I was trying to protect my own children. And so that perspective gave a lot of forgiveness to my mom from me about, some of that regret about how she was holding back. I get it. And I told my children that I had cancer. I had to use age appropriate language, but it was still really hard, to be honest with them.
Right. And you need to understand the audience, obviously, your children, you're talking.
Yeah.
You need to adjust that message for, for their ability to understand and comprehend. And, I think also you need to be able to comfort them. You need to be able, tell them as much truth as you feel you can tell them, but also make sure they feel comfort, that you're not just leaving them right now. You're going to be fighting that, and they're going to be witnessing you fighting. And that's something maybe for them to learn in life as well, how to deal with difficult things like this. And I totally, for a while, I was actually upset about the fact that she didn't tell me the full truth. But I think I told you guys yesterday, I probably would be doing the same thing with my daughter. I probably would not be telling
100%.
her. Yeah, I'm probably not going to be telling her, oh my God, everything is horrible. I'm probably also going to tell her, remember Uncle Tom? I have what he has. And I don't know. It's very difficult to kind of figure out. And you can't really judge people. People act and react differently when they put under a lot of stress. And
Yes.
diagnosis like that is a huge stress to your system, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally. So people don't really think about others and how this, half truth may affect them.
Yeah.
And also, I think another part is that my mom, she kept hoping all the way until her last hour that something's going to save her.
Yeah.
She told me that, my wish is, I wish I had one chance in a million. And that was like one of her last words to me over the phone. And I mean, that broke me. And the next day I her friend called me and she said, that's it. She passed away at 11:30 on July 30th. And that day is forever in my memory, obviously. And it's coming soon again for 5-year anniversary. We unfortunately had to bury her back in Russia. And my plan is she wanted to, her wish was her ashes to be scattered in the California beach because she loves it here. She visited us several times. She absolutely loved it here. And the plan was to actually get her moved here if the cancer didn't happen. So that's my next responsibility and kind of a step to bring her here and to kind of, grant her last wish that she wanted to be with us where we live in the California beach where she was the happiest. So, yeah.
Yeah. I just want to go to the comments for a minute. The comments are on fire. So lots of people supporting you. Emily says, oh, wow, so hard. I'm sorry. Emily said, my mom told me by email and I was at work getting ready to lead a meeting.
Emily, I feel for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brian says, when I when I looked up my diagnosis online, mantle cell lymphoma, all I saw was men in their 60s get diagnosed with this and have a 5 to 7 year lifespan. I said, hey, I'm only 49, but would be up at 3 a.m. curled up in a fetal position thinking my mother would have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you for sharing, Brian. And we just connected recently. So thank you for being here, Brian. We really appreciate it. And thank you. We are here on Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer, having a conversation tonight with Irina, sharing about the story of her mother and her perspectives. And we appreciate you all being here tonight. So many of you have comments. Maria says, keep your faith high. Yeah. So thank you for all your comments. We do see them all, and we will respond if we don't during the show afterwards, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what someone said in the comments about there's an opportunity to protect somebody from pain. And I think that's really interesting because pain is eventually coming anyway. And it's something I've struggled with is how much are you honest with other people? How much are you honest with yourself? And how much can you accept the honesty from others in terms of the seriousness of a disease? And I think it's a really interesting, juicy topic about we all try to protect each other.
Yeah. And, unfortunately, in that trying to protect someone, we don't really think that it's actually detrimental in some ways. And we're not really protecting them. We're just prolonging that for them. And we are making them experience shock. When what happened with my mom, I was in absolute shock and disbelief because literally I could not believe that in 2 months this could happen. This could be so bad that nothing can stop it. And, you start to think like what could have been different, what could have been done differently. Maybe I should have, fly her here to United States and have a surgery here. Maybe they would have removed everything, but it's all the maybes that we don't know. But, it's until you're in that position, and I hope, I haven't had cancer. And, we talk about that. I probably need to do my genetic testing, and I will do it.
Yes,
and
you do.
Make sure that, and do a preventative measures as well. But because it's just such a scary thing for everyone, you're facing the unknown. But I also do believe that, a lot of people do recover, like you guys, you're functioning, you're doing really well. And you are a testament to the fact that it's not absolutely doom and gloom and the end of the world. It's still possible to live with it, to function with it, enjoy life with it, raise your kids. It's not a death sentence. In my mom's case, it was, but in a lot of other people's cases, it isn't. And I think there's definitely a lot of reasons to continue fighting, to continue educating your relatives, people who care about you, what you're going through. Probably being honest, but also kind of really thinking about what kind of information you're sharing with whom. Right. If you talk to your children, you're not going to talk the same way you talk to your spouse about it. So with your spouse, you should be absolutely 100% honest because they are with you. You are a huge part of their life, and something happens with you, their life is going to change. And so I think having those difficult conversations is helpful. But again, I don't know. Maybe if it happens to me, maybe I will also hesitate to share, because we don't have, we don't want our children to have pain, especially if it's related to us. So
yeah. So Irina, you weren't able to be there for your mom's passing. I mean, that must have been hard for you. What was that experience like for you?
It was extremely difficult, but I, in the hindsight, I'm kind of thankful because my mom's best friend who called me organized her funeral and organized everything related to that, cremation, a service, everything. I believe in God, and I personally believe that my God and my mom kind of guarded me away from that experience, because I wasn't ready to see my mom dead, in a casket. It's like I couldn't bring that. I'm glad that last time I saw her, she was happy, healthy, and smiling, because I don't want this last memory of her to be that, especially when it's your mom. It's like we had really close relationship with her. We literally talked every day, of course, not about the things that are most important, but unfortunately, but we are extremely close. And it just a thought that, seeing her passed away, it probably would have been like even bigger shock to my system. So I think in a way I've been cushioned away from it, and I'm really thankful to that friend of hers who've done all of that for her. And I wrote a letter. They read a letter, at the ceremony at the church. Then she called me right away and told me how everything went. And I really think, if I was stronger, obviously I would say, yes, I should have been there, but I wasn't strong. So it just happened, I think, the best way it could, in terms of, how it all out, the outcome was created.
Well, Irina, I can speak for myself. I think you're pretty strong.
Thank you.
And, I know that this is the first time you've publicly talked about your mother's passing. What inspired you to bring forth this story now?
I just feel that, people should understand that there are different ways of dealing with illness, and, and processing it, and being part of it, and being supportive. I think that, especially talking about honesty in how you kind of explain to people how you want to be helped, right? Yeah. So that's important. And I think a lot of people, sometimes when you hear that their loved one have a diagnosis, they go into panic. And I think sharing my story, hopefully it will help someone else who also in a similar position right now, going through illness of their loved one, and they lost, they don't know what to do, they don't feel like they have strength to support them. My advice is to find that strength, because we all have it. You just really need to be cognizant of it, and you need to bring it up in you. We all have it. Just saying I don't know what to say is not a solution. The solution is listen. I guess the biggest thing is listen to what you're being told by the person who has a disease, and kind of try to work with them and understand from their perspective what would they be needing from you, and what kind of support you want to provide them. Ask questions, because it's a very hard thing to deal with on your own. And especially, if you're struggling alone, that's also a big thing. A lot of people don't have a family support. So I'm sharing my story, and I'm just thankful I'm not crying right now, because I think it's time. I think it's been 5 years. It's going to be anniversary of her death in end of July. And I think it's time for me to become the person that my mom always thought I was. That's it.
You are.
Thank you.
For sure. For sure. And people are supporting you in the comments.
Ellen, I appreciate it so much.
Ellen is saying there's no right or wrong way to cope. We've got your back.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Maria says, what advice can you give to those who want to be alone and do not want to get support?
Yeah, that's another thing. You need to respect the feelings of the person who's going through it. If that's what they feel like, they need to process it on their own. Give them space. Give them time and space, and just tell them, listen, if you're not ready right now, take your time. Let me know when you want to talk. Let me know what I can do for you. Let me know how I can be support. Listen to what they say. Don't try to assume anything. Don't try to impose any kind of solutions or, quackery or whatever. Don't, just be there, be open. Don't be scared yourself. Don't be scared of listening to if someone struggles with cancer. Just find the strength in you and be that person who could be help and support. But I totally understand that some people just want to have it on their, want to process it internally. They want to be left alone. They want to grieve. They want to grieve their life because
Yeah.
it's forever going to be changing. It's forever changed by this disease.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Maria had another question earlier. She said, how are you doing now?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing much better. I mean, the pain doesn't really go away, but it just becomes dull. And sometimes, I listen to a song that my mom used to like, and I start crying a little bit. I look up in the sky and say hi, mom, every morning. I wear her ring, and it's just it's not as painful anymore. It's not sharp pain. It's just in the background all the time. This sadness of a loss and this inability to express love that I have for her. I think grief is unspent love, and I don't know where I read it, but I think it's absolutely true. That the more you love the person, the harder your grief is going to be because your love has no outlet anymore. That love you have for that person has nowhere to go. So you need to figure out, where do I put that? Like, obviously I put it in my daughter, my husband, my stepdaughter, but at the same time, it's still there. It's different. I believe that my mom's in heaven. I believe that she's watching over me. I totally believe that souls don't just disappear. I think she's still influencing my life in a different level. And I'm just grateful that I was able to recover from this and just become a better person. I would definitely say I'm a better person now than I was 5 years ago. And that's another lesson my mom taught me, just the last lesson, I guess, that she gave me. But I do believe that she's helping us, and everybody. Not everybody believe in that, but I believe in reincarnation. I believe that people go to heaven, that their souls are still with us, and they help us, they support us, and they guide us. And I pray, a lot. I pray to my mom because she's now a different entity. So,
Totally.
Yeah.
I sometimes think my mom is more powerful than God. I pray to her too.
Yes, absolutely. I for us, probably we're and they can talk to God.
Moms are powerful. Come on now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. I'm putting that in the comments.
Yeah.
I have to put that on the screen. Moms are powerful. That's going there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Irina, so, as we're all talking, and I love these comments, Cancer Fight takes a village. It takes so many people, whether they're in person or they're remote. Who supported you the most? Who supported your mom the most in the journey?
That was her best friend. And that best friend, they actually used to work together at that place where everybody started having cancer. And so her friend actually didn't have it, but that was the biggest support was just that one extremely loyal friend.
Yeah.
And whatever I was able to provide, I don't think it was enough. And again, I have a lot of regrets about what happened, but I'm thankful that someone else was able to step in and fill my shoes where I should have been when I wasn't able to. So I want to reiterate the importance of relationship with your friends.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes your family is not capable of processing the grief like that, and you step in, you help. So she basically helped me out. She saved a lot of pain for me. And so having a group of few trusted friends for yourself, I think it's very important. And that's one of the things that I want to do in life. I want to continue nurturing my friendships. And I want to be there for my friends, and vice versa. And I'm pretty selective about the people I become friends with because I'm 45. I've been burned a lot, but I still believe that I have a close group of friends who's going to be supportive, and I will be a support for them. So it's not just your family, because for your family, it's just so personal. It's a little less personal for your friends. No matter how much they love you, it's not the same thing as your kids and your husband.
Right.
So So I think easing that burden on your family by your friends being involved and helping you, I think it's important.
Yeah. Friends are so important. And what I heard you
Yeah.
say was your mom's friends were super important, but then having your own separate support network of friends
My
equally as
my
important.
my best friend is my husband. We've been married for
Um,
21 years, and we've been through everything: illnesses, mental illnesses, physical illnesses. We raised two children. I have a stepdaughter who is 34, and I have my daughter who is 24. So we kind of created this blended family when we got together in 2001. And so we
wow.
raised our daughters together. So they both, one lives in Southern California now, the other one is in Arizona. But yeah, I mean, we're still best friends, and we fight like best friends fight. But
Well, shout out
I'm
to
not
your
gonna
husband.
Yeah.
say it's all sugar,
Yeah,
but I've been blessed to have him as my best friend.
that's awesome. So, what would you say is the biggest silver lining that you've discovered in your mom's journey?
Silver lining, I think that the way this whole thing unfolded and happened, I think it actually changed me for the better. I became a better person. That's a silver lining. I became more in tune with nature. Me and my husband go out and feed birds outside. We feed squirrels. We fill everybody with peanuts, essentially. Whoever eats peanuts, we feed them. And that it kind of opened my eyes and my heart to the world, where, before I was in such a bad depression where I really had no reasons to be in one, because it's literally my chemicals in my brain didn't work properly. And they found the medication regimen for me finally that works. And again, I think my mom's last gift to me was her death, and in the way it happened, and how it was able to change me inside.
Mm.
I was pretty jaded before, but I became so much more open to the world now.
Yeah.
And I feel that, my life is important because my mom gave it to me. And my mom is not here anymore, so I'm gonna live my life the best way I can live for her. And that's why I'm talking to you guys. That's why I'm open about it. And that's, I don't I don't go into hysteria and crying anymore. I just rationally think about it and kind of analyzing it and hoping somebody else can learn from it, and somebody's experience would be better, because the shock of losing your parent is undescribable. My dad's still alive, thank God, and we in constant communication too. He's also in Russia. He's in his late 70s. But I increased that my communication with my dad. We actually installed WhatsApp on our phones, and we constantly talk to each other now, because I understand that the time is limited for everyone. We don't know how much we have.
Yeah.
And I would hate to just hear that my dad passed away too, and I didn't even talk to him. So I make a lot of effort to stay in touch, make a lot of effort to make sure he feels loved. He feels that, I'm going to be there for him if something happens.
That is a beautiful silver lining, Irina.
Well, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It only took me 5 years.
You always had it inside you.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I hope so. I hope, there's a saying, be the man that your dog thinks you are. So be the person your parents hope you will be, or hope you are.
Oh, yeah. That is a guiding force in my life too. Thank you for saying that, Irina. So building on that, what ways are you planning to honor your mother's legacy?
I think one of the ways of honoring her is taking care of myself. Like we just talked with you guys before the show. I think my responsibility to myself and to my mom is to make sure that get diagnosed. If I get diagnosed, I get it early.
Yeah.
That I do all the preventative measures, and that hopefully I can save my life by being proactive and by being brave and checking, doing mammograms and, doing genetic testing to make sure that her death doesn't go in vain, that I actually can learn something from it. And, I can live longer life, hopefully with, less illnesses. I don't know if it's coming or not, but, DNA tests or genetic tests can probably tell me, and I shouldn't have all that knowledge. I should not be scared to find out that, I possibly have it, and be proactive, do what it takes to do what it requires to do to prevent me from having cancer.
100%. So the quick PSA here is get your genetic testing and get your mammogram if you have a history of breast cancer in your family.
Yes, absolutely. And you said it's if you have already if you're genetically predisposed, it's going to be free probably, and most insurance probably will cover it, right?
Yes.
So it's being brave. It is being brave, because the answer is not always going to be something you are going to be happy about. So they may say, yes, you have a big predisposition. What are the next steps? And if it's if it's removing my breast, then so be it. I will survive without it, but as long as I survive, right? So people live without a lot of organs, and that can happen to anyone. And I think preventive measures are very important. Yeah.
I just love what you said about legacy, and I think you summed it up with just be brave. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's hard though. It's hard to be brave. Especially when you're facing your parents' mortality or your own. So
yeah.
Yes, definitely.
That's where we get to have support, and that's why we have this community, right, Tim?
Yes, 100%. 100%.
I'm so glad to be a part of it, guys. I really appreciate it. I wish I actually find out about all this sooner, but I guess everything has its own time. So
exactly.
I definitely going to participate in the future, podcasts, or not podcasts, the live streams, and definitely gonna, if somebody wants to connect with me, I'm definitely going to be able to help out and support if somebody needs support.
That's awesome. And we're so honored you're here tonight sharing your mom's story and your perspectives. And we're so honored that all of you are here tonight showing up to support Irina and each other, just as you do every week. So many of you show up. So Irina, what grief support has been the most helpful to you?
I went to grief counselor almost right after, because my psychiatrist told me that's probably the best option for me right now. And I wasn't able, in the first few sessions, I wasn't even able to talk. I was just bawling, crying, because every word I would say mom, and I would start crying. So it was extremely difficult, but that person was just so warm and inviting and caring and listening and giving me my space when I needed it. And even, during the session, just she gave me my space and time to kind of collect myself and take it at my own pace. So grief counseling, I think, was really, really helpful for me.
And I think someone in the comments also had said earlier, grief is not linear.
Yes.
And it is, I actually have heard it described as a clothes dryer, where you go round and round and round and round, and gets really hot, and it stops, and you're like, oh, phew, that's over.
Yeah, no, it's coming back.
And then somebody presses a button, and it goes around and around and around again.
Exactly.
And so, I mean, and I hope you continue to get support, Irina. And
I'm in a much better place right now, but I definitely recommend, if people, go to grief counseling. It's covered by insurance. Most insurance, I don't know what insurance everybody has, but most insurance is covering it. So it's not even going to affect your pocket. It's just going to help you cope. That person will give you some coping mechanisms. They'll give you, some things to take your mind off of your pain that you're going through. And another important thing I want to bring up is, don't start drinking alcohol. It doesn't lead to a good place. It's a temporary solution. that's going to make you feel even worse afterwards. So a lot of people, when they're grieving, they start drinking. And I think that actually affects your brain in a really bad way. Alcohol does. It's a depressant, so it actually can make things worse for you. So don't start self-medicating.
Thank you for that advice. And I just want to go to the comments for a minute before we head to our last question. I can't believe we're already 46 minutes into the show. Can you guys believe that?
We're crazy.
I can talk a lot. I can believe that.
Oh my gosh. Emily says, thank you for sharing your powerful story.
You're welcome, Emily.
Melody says it's a journey that requires courage and that makes you a warrior.
That's a perfect saying. I love it. I'm going to steal it.
Yes. Lagia says a little bit late today, but I am happy to be here. Lagia, you are not late. Whenever you show up, that's the perfect time. And thanks for joining us from Costa Rica. You guys, she comes from Costa Rica.
Wow, so, thank you.
Yes. And let us know what time it is in Costa Rica. I have no idea, but let us know. I'm curious. Ellen says, moms are the original and only influencers. Take that, Insta.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Way to go, Ellen.
Yes. And Bob says that's a good silver lining when we were talking about silver linings before. Yeah, thank you all for being here. Erica, let's go to the final question. I can't believe it's the final question.
I know. So, Irina, what advice do you have for adult children of a cancer patient, right? You went on this journey while you were an adult, not a child. What advice do you have others in the same situation?
I would say treat your adult children as they are adults and share as much information as you can with them, because they are grown up now. They can handle it. You are the one in trouble. You're the one experiencing illness, and you need to kind of be brutally honest with them. And again, treat them as adults, not as little children who needs to be guarded and protected all the time. Just sometimes you need to reveal the bitter truth in order to actually survive and actually, be better. Because, I don't know, maybe I was able to fly and be with my mom. I don't know what could have happened if she was honest with me about her last days. So I think honesty is really important. And yeah, we're adults. We need to grow up. If we're not there yet, then we need to grow up really quickly to help our loved ones in trouble.
Do you think there's a difference between how you would have handled it at your current age, or the age you were 5 years ago, rather than 20 years ago? What do you think would have been different?
I would have just probably get very drunk and flip out and do all kinds of crazy things. As to, if that happened now, I would be in the first plane back to Russia and be with her every moment of the day. So that's the difference. 5 years ago, I was still a child mentally. And this whole event made me grow up really fast.
Yeah, absolutely. I think cancer really advances people. I do a lot of work with children with cancer, and you'd be amazed at how mature they can be.
Yes,
and
it's testing you, definitely. And that makes you grow up really fast.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate this conversation, and you made it so easy for me to share not so easy shareable things that I kept inside. And I hope to continue, interacting with you. And thank you so much for your friendship and for inviting me here.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Thank you. Thank you for trusting us to share your story here with us. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you in the comments in future shows.
Absolutely. I'll be there.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So we are always looking for guests to be on the show, survivors, authors, family members, organizations, medical professionals, anyone with a perspective on cancer.
Absolutely. We are always. And if you want to be a guest, you can reach out to me. You could send me a direct message and be happy to have a conversation with you. And our next guest she's right over here. It's Erica Campbell. Yes. She will be the guest next week. And Nancy Barrows will be having a conversation with me, and Erica Campbell will be the guest, and we'll be having a conversation with Erica about her connections and perspectives on cancer and the important work she does at the Pinky Swear Foundation as well. So really looking forward to that conversation. Are you excited, Erica, to be a guest next week? This will be a little different next week for you.
I know, Nancy, I'm excited to talk to you, and it'll be an interesting conversation. Spoiler alert. Irina mentioned, you could go crazy and get drunk, and I did that when my mom was sick. So lessons learned, but there's also other perspectives because, I had cancer then myself 4 years ago. So been on both sides of it, and I work in the cancer space every day. So you get to ask me all the things.
Yes, definitely. Brian says, one day at a time, I'm arresting lymphoma as I also arrest my addictions to ways I used to self-medicate.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, Brian.
Thank you for sharing, Brian.
Thank you for saying that, Brian.
Yes. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight for another episode of Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer. See you next week. We're going to go out the same way that we came in. See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.